Hi, I'm Sarah. I am 19 years old. I am currently Miss Maryland USA Ambassador 2018, and I'm really excited to be here. Truly, it is an honor to be able to speak to everyone, and this is my 5th conference, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm sad to say neither of my parents were able to make it this year, but hopefully they are in spirit watching me and powering me on. I have Daisy though, so it's okay. I can cuddle her. So I'm going to share my story, and then I'm going to share my little tips and tricks with how to go home after being in such a caring and loving environment, because we all know sometimes the real world is not as supportive as the amazing people that fill this room. So I have trichotillomania, if it was not obvious by my shaved head and the fact that I'm at the BFRB conference. I have had trich since I was 11 years old. It began with just my eyebrows and my eyelashes. As you can see from the picture, I went from actually being visible to not having visible eyebrows. Now, I was a smart-ish kid, and so when people would ask, why don't you have eyebrows, I said, oh, you just can't see them. I'm blonde. They're really light. It worked. Kids are weird. So when my mom found out that I had this habit of pulling out my eyebrows, my eyelashes, she immediately Googled it. So I was very fortunate enough that my mom looked it up and found out that it was an actual disorder, and I did not live like many of you did for years without realizing I was not the only person who did it. But she also sought treatment, as many parents do, and I hated therapists. I'll be honest, for years that was the worst thing in the entire world. Now granted, I had some really terrible experiences, as I'm sure there are many people in this room who have had the same thing, because not all therapists know about BFRBs. And so the first one I went to said, you have anger management issues, and that was my diagnosis. Then I went to someone else who said, possibly Asperger's, and I was like, no, that's also not it. And it just kind of went on like that. I never really connected with anyone. But my trich got worse. And so I started pulling out my head hair in middle school. I was 13. I had a lot of issues with bullies. And so you can see at the very front of my head, and then it goes to being like all my head. Luckily, my mom once again stepped in and said, I know you don't like getting help, but there's this conference in New Jersey, and you're going to it. You don't have a choice, but there are people like you there. I was like, fine, whatever. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'll do it. But I found out about the hair club, and in that moment, that was my saving grace, because they got me wigs that we could financially get, and I wore them for 2-3 years of my life. And at that point, because I was not open about my BFRB, and the only person who knew about it were my mom, my dad, and possibly my brother, although I'm not actually sure if he figured it out or not. We don't go there. Although, fun fact, I kind of gave him a phobia of hair, because I would leave my hair around the house. He will not deal with it anymore. If I have a wig in the bathroom, he will take it out, put it outside the door, and then go use the bathroom. Sorry, Brett. I love you. But yes, the hair club did save my life, because they were able to give me wigs in a time where I was not comfortable with who I really was. And then 10th grade hit, high school. It's fun. So not only was I dealing with high school, I was dealing with very severe social anxiety, depression, and trich. So I had trich episodes where I was pulling, what are you doing? I don't know, she's a dog, just leave her be. I had these trich episodes where it were hour-long periods of time where the only thing I was doing was pulling out my hair. Now that is not productive in any way, shape, or form, ever. In addition to that, I had depression, and getting up in the morning was the hardest thing in the entire world because I felt like a terrible human being. And then on top of that, if I actually got up, I had to go to school and talk to people I didn't like. So it was just a terrible, terrible time. And, I was going to outpatient therapy. I had a psychiatrist, I had a psychologist, the whole plethora of doctors, but I knew that this was not helping. And so I very willingly said to my parents, I need more intense treatment. And so we talked to my psychiatrist about it, and he was like, yeah, so I know you're from Pennsylvania, but there's this great place in Wisconsin. And I'm like, you're crazy, I'm not going to Wisconsin. So I went to Wisconsin. There's a whole backstory behind why it actually was logistically there. But again, I was not close to home for 3 months of my 10th grade year, from January to April. But Rogers Memorial Hospital truly changed my life because I learned to love myself. I remember sitting in my therapist's office, and he said, the only way you're getting out of here, which was everyone's goal, by the way, was if I was taking off my hat in public. Are you freaking kidding me? I came here to stop pulling out my hair, and you want me to expose the biggest secret of my entire life? Yeah, so that didn't happen for a good month at least. He kept saying, you need to take off your hat, and I'm like, I really want to get out of here and go home, but that's not happening. And then he finally was like, okay, when everyone's working and they're not staring at you, you take your hat off for only 1 minute, that's 60 seconds, and then you put it back on. And I'm like, fine. So everyone's working, I'm sitting there. He's in the corner staring at me like, haha, I got you to take off your hat. And I'm just like, I hate you, sending like death stare kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, go. I take off my hat. Would you know, the building didn't burst into flames. No one died. A meteor didn't strike the earth. I mean, immediately my anxiety skyrocketed for 5 seconds. Like, it went down because I was like, oh my God, nothing bad happened. And from that day on, I started going more and more without a hat. And then the first time I went out in actual public and not just with people who had disorders. So we go to the movies, and I'm like, oh gosh, I have to order a ticket, I have to interact with someone, I'm not wearing a hat, what are they gonna think? Do they think I have cancer? The normal stuff. And so I go up, she asked me about my Harry Potter shirt. And we have a very good conversation about Hogwarts. That changed me. We think that everyone is going to judge us based on our appearance, how we look, how these disorders affect us. I really haven't had that experience. So, got back home, finally, and I knew that my path was to advocate for others who had mental health and invisible illnesses. Now, that may not be your path, but I knew it was mine. And so I went on this crazy journey that is still very much continuing. I was crowned Miss Freedom Forge's Outstanding Teen 2016, the first time I competed in a pageant ever, really, and I had short hair, and I was like, oh my God, this is not going to go well, and then I won. Nuts. I posted on Facebook publicly that I have Trichotillomania. I made a YouTube series about what it's like for the first time stepping out of your comfort zone and saying, this is me, and I'm okay with it. I graduated high school. I missed 3 months of my 10th grade year, and I graduated on time. And I had a GPA of like 4.0. I went to prom. That's the picture with Daisy. I went to prom bald. I would consider that bald. I went to Congress and I advocated for getting better insurance coverage for mental health. Because right now, insurance coverage sucks. And most recently, agreed. Most recently, I was on the Megyn Kelly Today Show, which was absolutely amazing. I went on there full bald with Marla. We had a great time, and it was phenomenal because we were able to share what are BFRBs, the truth around BFRBs, and it ended with her saying we need to stop the stigma around mental health. I think that is what we're all trying to do. So now, you've heard enough about me. What about you guys? What about the hundreds of people who are at this conference who are stepping back into the real world with plethora of knowledge, but seriously unsure about what to do with it all? Start with the support from your family. The left picture is the first time I met my boyfriend in person. He lives in Canada. Like I said, I live in Pennsylvania. And we had been best friends for like 2.5 years before we started dating. We were dating for like 1.5 years before we actually found the money to meet in person. And he has been the most supportive thing in the entire world because he understands my BFRB, he understands my anxiety, and he does not tell me to get over it, that I have to stop pulling out my hair. He doesn't tell me any of that. He accepts me for who I am. And the reason I say that is because if you have a person in your life who is telling you just to get over it or stop being anxious or stop being depressed, they're not very helpful. But there are real human beings who don't have a BFRB, but are still out there and are really good people, and they're helpful, and they will make you feel like a good person. Also, a lot of times, your family. Your family just wants to help you. And I know for a fact that parents can be terribly annoying when they want you to stop because they just want you to be better. They want you to be the happiest you can be. And when they see you struggling, it doesn't just hurt you, it hurts them. But just sitting down and having that conversation of, hey mom, hey dad, I know I do this thing, but every time you tell me to stop or you say this certain thing, it doesn't help me. But I know you want to help, and here's how you can help. For me, it's my mom giving me a fidget toy. If she says anything about it at all, like any word, I get really annoyed and then it just goes downhill. But if she gives me a fidget without saying anything, we're okay. Also, you have your other family, your TLC family. Because as you have seen, hopefully, over the course of this conference, there are so many people who are just like you in this world. You are not alone, and we are here to support you. Every single person in this room hopes that everyone else in the room can be their best self. We are all here to support each other, encourage each other, and I know that if you are able to get one person's phone number, one person's email, and you just start connecting with them, your life will be changed because you will now have a support system ready and available who understands when you have those bad days, and you can reach out and say, hey, I'm picking, I'm pulling, I'm biting my nails, I need help. And you know they can help you because they get it. So I'm going to leave you guys with the favorite quote, and I apologize for the men in the room, but it applies to me. So, she needed a hero, so she became one. This was written by someone and hung up on the wall when I was in inpatient therapy in Wisconsin. Some people say it is based on the quote from Wonder Woman. I really don't know where that person got it from, and I do not know who the person was. But when I saw that quote, I realized it was the truth. All we want is to be accepted and love ourselves, and we always wait for someone else to change the world. But why can't we change it? Why can't we be the person who changes our lives for our own selves? So go out this week, this month, this year, and start not waiting for someone else to be the change, but you being the change for yourself. Thank you.